Good evening, everyone. Carlos Flores, back on basics. Just wanted to make sure that I connect with you with another video dealing with different topics. So tonight's topic is on mental health. And one of the things that I'm going to do when I talk about mental health is I want to make sure that you understand that mental health is something that we all deal with. It could be small or it could be large. It could be different things. It could be different things affecting us. And so today I'm going to talk to you about one of my examples, one of the things that I have dealt in my life, that I had to process, that I had to think about and say, okay, how is this going to affect the rest of my life? Or how am I going to become determined so that I can get my goals met? So mental health, again, is very important. And so before we begin, if you don't forget to hit that button and like this video, subscribe to the channel, Back on Basics, and then hit that notification button so that way you can see when new videos are being made. So again, mental health, right? So for a lot of us, what happens is that our mental health and let's say our capacity to hold things tends to vary. So let's take an example. Let's get a water balloon and we inflate it with water, right? Not all the way, but pretty much maybe 85% water, right? So it's pretty good size. So an example of all of our stressors and life experiences and emotions and perceptions, let's say that's the water inside the water balloon. So if we hang it, so that way we can see it visually, right? I hope all of you are visualizing a water balloon. So let's say I have a needle and I poke a tiny hole in that needle. So what's going to happen is the water will slowly be trickling away. And again, that could be stress, that could be perceptions, that could be emotions, that could be life experiences that you're having. So as the little bit of water goes away, there's ways that your body biologically can help you cope with stress and all of the other things that I just talked about. So for example, you get a bad grade in a test, right? But this is not a big test. Let's say it's a quiz instead of a test, right? And so it may get you anxious, or it makes you maybe it makes you feel bad. And so logically you think about it and then you make a short-term goal and say, okay, next quiz, this is where I'm going to start studying so that way I can be successful, so I can get a good grade in my test or in my quiz. And so, but if we let it go undone, then let's say there's another prick from that needle. So now you have two holes that are coming out little by little, right? And so now 2 times the water that's coming out. So your water balloon is getting a little bit smaller, great, right? Because again, it's stress and all the other stuff in there. But let's just say that something else happened. So another hole, and another thing, and another hole. So what happens when we haven't dealt with the multiple holes that are letting the water out of the water balloon? Well, as many of you know, if you have many different little holes, even tiny holes, letting water out, eventually the water balloon is going to pop. And the thing is that that's what's happening in our society right now. I mean, you've seen examples. I mean, you've seen people get shot, people get beat up, arguments going on, mass shootings going on, different people just going beyond their limit and not having a way to come back to balance, right? To life balance. There's a lot of people that have a lot of mental health right now. There's a lot of people that have a lot of depression right now. And there's a lot of people that are being diagnosed in the past, I think 3 to 4 years, there's a lot more people being diagnosed with depression because one, we're not interacting with people as much, right? A lot of times we use social media as our interaction, but you have to realize, right? We're human beings. We're creatures of habit. We need to have that interaction with somebody, with a group of people, right? At work or at school or at home or a monastery or a church or anywhere. So that way we can bounce off ideas, because if we're just home by ourselves, then the only ideas you're going to bounce off of is yourself. And again, right, you need to have personal connections, so that way you can kind of course correct yourself. So that way you're not doing the things that will get you to a point where you become anxious, you become depressed, you become hopeless, and you think that you're not going to get things done. So human contact, human interaction is a great thing to do. So that's a recommendation. So one of the things that I was going to tell you is I was going to tell you one of my stories. Remember I told you in a previous video that I was going to talk about some of my stories and how those things have shaped me. So I was born in El Salvador, and there was a civil war in El Salvador that started in the 80s, actually in the 70s, late 70s, 80s. I was actually, I think I was 8 years old. By that time, my dad had come to the United States already and was working, so that way he can bring my mom, my brother, and myself here to the United States. That story is going to be in another video, by the way, so stay tuned. And so my dad was in the United States here. My brother, my mom, and myself were at home in El Salvador. And so, again, Civil War was going on. You never know when firefight would happen, when bullets started flying and everything. So here I am. My mom asked me to go get some milk. So I didn't go to the store. I actually went to a farm, just down the street, so that way I can get fresh milk, right? And so, as I was walking home, I realized that there was this eerie quietness, like something was going to happen, right? And so as soon as I got close to the house, to my house, with the milk, right, with a pitcher of milk that I just bought, for my family, I saw the rebels, and they were all laid in a hill, right in front of our house, and so they were about to start shooting. They were about to have a firefight, and I was out there in the streets. Again, different things, different things that happened. That one of the rebels actually said, "Hey kid, you need to run home. Where's your home?" And I pointed to the house, right? Because I could see my door. I could see the house. He said, "Get into the door because we're going to start shooting." To run. So I ran with a pitcher of milk, as fast as I could. As soon as I got in, and as soon as my mom, I gave her the pitcher of milk, the firefight started. They started shooting, and the army started shooting back, and it was a long thing. I mean, my mom had to close the door, bolt the door with, in countries like that, you have a piece of wood that you put on so that way the door can't be kicked in, right? And so at that time, my brother was 6 months old, a little bit younger than 6 months. And so there was a firefight. Things happened. But it was very traumatic because one, as I got older, and even now, at my age, I realized that if it wasn't for that person telling me, run, get in your house because we're about to start shooting, then I could have been caught outside. And so, remember I talked about in previous videos about what ifs. What if I would have been caught outside? My mom later on, when I was older, when we were here in the United States, said that a couple of my friends that lived across the street, they were younger. They were I guess they were about 7 and had a little sister about 6. They got caught outside. And so what they ended up doing is they ended up going into a water drain and spent the whole firefight. A brother and a sister, 7 and about 6 or 5, in a firefight. Imagine the trauma. Imagine just, again, being in a water drain, and just listening to people just shooting in front of them, behind them, all around. So, I'm telling you that story because one of the memories that I have, and again, that's where perceptions come in, and that's where I feel very humble. I feel very lucky, right? Because I think my karma is good at times, and my life has been spared a number of times, and so I still remember my mom putting me and my brother and herself under a table while the firefight was going on, a kitchen table. And so all of a sudden the helicopter comes by, and the helicopter starts shooting, right, at the rebels, trying to drive them away from the city. And so what I remember till now, and I'm telling you this, I'm getting goosebumps all over my arms right now, because it's like I can hear it. As the helicopter was shooting, I can hear the shell casings just hitting the roof over a house. It's just tick, 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 tick. It felt like rain, but it felt like metal rain. And I told people, and the people and the students that I talked to and the people that I talked to help them out, is that trauma is real. And if you don't process it, then it'll stay within you, and it could lead to different things. So again, talk to people, connect with people, right? So again, goosebumps, because it's happened. It happened, and I still remember that. So that kind of shaped me and said, I want to help people out as much as I can. And so that's the reason why I'm doing these videos. That's the reason why I'm telling you my story, because I know that some of you, if not most of you, if not all of you, have had some similar experiences. And believe me, it's good when you get it out. It's good when you talk to people. It's good to hear yourself telling the story, because, again, you're processing things like balance. So what you're doing, essentially, remember the balloon at the beginning, the balloon kind of example at the beginning of the video, is you're plugging the little holes with tape or whatever else, so that way the leak stops. You want the little water from emptying out, right? And you want to make sure that it doesn't explode. So don't let stress upon stress upon stress upon stress upon stress build without separating each one as a separate thing and talking about it and processing. So again, I'm giving you an example from my life. I'll give you more examples in other videos. Again, I'm going to tell you a lot of things about my story. It's my life story has been very interesting. And so that's the reason why I'm the way that I am. And I'm very open to adapting, and I'm very open to a lot of different things. So again, life balance, right? Mental health is very important. May was Mental Health Awareness Month, right? So, but we should be aware of mental health, especially in this day and age. So if you have any questions, put them in the comment section. Again, like this video, subscribe to my channel, Back on Basics, and make sure you hit the notification button, so that way any new video that I make and I publish, you'll get a notification of that. If you have any suggestions, I said this before in another video, if you have any topics that you want me to touch on, I'll I'll be happy to. Just put them in the comment section. If you're connected with me via Facebook or Instagram, just send me a message about what kind of videos you want to hear, what kind of topics you want to hear. So yeah, stay tuned. I'm here to help. Again, Carlos Flores, back on basics. Somewhere here, back on basics. Have a good evening.